I'm sorry. But I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone. The good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men, with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill their promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Just a quick one. North, south, east. We're told we're spinning 1,000 miles an hour east this way. So currently I am sat on a ball, according to the globe model, spinning 1,000 miles an hour this way. Okay, I'm facing directly south, directly to the supposed South Pole, yeah, on the globe model. Now I'm sat up a tower crane, like I said, facing directly south. Now please explain to me why, if I'm travelling 1,000 miles an hour spinning this way, why that block is not representing or not moving whatsoever. We get shown the Foucault pendulum, which is this nonsensical, masonical, pantomime style bit of evidence for the supposed spin of the globe Earth. But yeah, I'm recreating it here. Like I said, I'm pointing directly south. Shut the window. Facing directly south to the supposed South Pole, which means I'm directly side on to the equator. So if I've got 1,000 mile an hour spin this way, why is that not reflected in that block? That's 31 meters of rope. I'm looking at 90 foot of rope. Yeah, and yet this is shown as evidence, the Foucault pendulum, in every city, in all these museums, showing the Earth's rotation. Now, alright, this is a slight industrial version of it, but still, I'm not seeing anything. There's no movement. Look at it. What do we conclude from this? Well, it's quite simple. The Earth is not spinning. And there's got to be something wrong with the Foucault pendulum. It's got to be, because I'm recreating it here. Nothing. Wind speed 1 kilometre an hour. Okay. Ideal day for this test, actually. But look. Nothing. If I was spinning 1,000 mile an hour, if the base of the crane was attached to the Earth that's spinning 1,000 mile an hour, the crane is obviously the tower and jib are attached, and then you've got the rope hanging off it, 90 foot with a block on the bottom of it, essentially a pendulum. Then I'd like to see a model of a globe or a ball with a pendulum on it that's spinning 1,000 mile an hour that doesn't move. Don't give me no bullshit about gravity, because that would debunk your own silly Foucault pendulum. This simple little thing here I'm doing while I'm quiet proves without a shadow of a doubt the Earth is not spinning, it's stationary. So you can stick your Foucault pendulum where the sun don't shine. Now if it was real, I was on an Earth that was spinning 1,000 mile an hour, I'd be seeing something like this. Yeah? Some sort of reaction like this. This would be the reaction. This is what we see in the museums. Very graceful. But we're not. I had to drive the crane and slam the brake on to get that. Sorry. My conclusion is either the Foucault pendulum's bullshit, which it is anyway, or the Earth is not spinning. Or quite frankly, both. The Earth is not spinning and the Foucault pendulum is bullshit, because I've just proved it here today. Sat in the crane, that block was deadly still until I drove the crane, and yet I'm supposed to believe the Earth is spinning 1,000 mile an hour. It's utter tosh. Basic observations again tell us we've been lied to. Another nail in this imaginary spinning cannonball magical pantomime of stupidity we call the globe. The only thing I find amazing is how we actually believe those cartoons and magic stories in the first place, when none of it relates to the real world that we experience on a daily basis. I'm sick of the pantomime and stupidity of the globe. I cannot stand it anymore. Add to that the nonsense that's going on in the flat earth movement. Dear oh dear. The Earth is flat, guys. But don't follow big channels. Go look for yourself. Get on the channel. Go look for imaginary curve. It doesn't exist. And it's certainly not spinning. I proved that here today. Cheers for bearing with me.
Sleeping Warrior, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a ball that does not exist. Anthony Riley, a young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless, in a world of heliocentrists who operate without credible evidence.
Hi there people, I'm making this video yet again, and I am hugely embarrassed. Now again, I am no embarrassed for me, I am embarrassed for these absolute imbecilic morons who are out there in the world actively denying reality. Some of these characters like ALK, Jed, Wolfie, Soundly, and any other moron who wishes to deny reality, this is directed at your stupidity, okay? Now, we talk about science, or these people talk about science, and so do many other people, and claim that nobody does anything practical to back up their claims or assertions. Now, I really shouldn't have to show this practically. It is a self-evident fact of reality that is well understood and applied. Liquid water does not have the ability to conform to the exterior of shapes and objects. Water will seek its level, must be contained, or it will flow, unless it establishes level where it will seek and maintain its level. The surface will be horizontal. It is what the definition of level actually is, right? So I'm going to show some demonstrations here yet again for these morons who profess that nobody shows anything practically. Now these sophists, these clowns, they go out and with a video camera they wait for the perfect opportunity when there is a swell or a tide coming in, and they use that to take observations with their camera of things being obscured by swells and, you know, by refraction upon a water surface. Okay, now anybody with any ounce of common sense knows that a body of water is not convex curving. Anybody with any common sense would know that from point A to point B, if there is a declination in the height, that the water will flow. So that means that you cannot be at point A and at point B it is at a lower elevation than you on a slope and the water doesn't flow. Okay, so this fundamental fact of reality disproves the spinning globe in a vacuum nonsense. Okay, it cannot be demonstrated. All practicality, all observations and tests show beyond any shadow of a doubt that the earth is a level container. Why do we know that? Because it is full of water and the water does not flow away. Okay, if we lived on a sphere, the only place water would exist was if there was a canyon at the top of the ball and that was filled with water. That's not the case. Alright? So I'm hugely embarrassed. I'm probably going to mumble my way through this, but it has to be done because these imbeciles, these absolute incompetent, you know, numpties have to be shown over and over again. So the thing about this is, do we ditch our understanding of the physical world and the things that we know and apply in everyday reality, like liquid and how it behaves? Do we ditch that knowledge and understanding and application in favour of an image? No, we don't. Do we rework physics in order to fit an image? No, we do not. The objective reality is what it is, regardless of anybody's sophisticated imagery or video. Right? Now, a video camera looking over a vast expanse of water proves absolutely nothing. You are tiny, minuscule in comparison to the size of oceans and the earth. Right? So waves, swells, tides coming in, meeting ridges and swelling, you know, these things can obscure boats or whatever it is you're looking over. That is why you never see any of these people offering any visual curvature over land. They don't go to the salt flats or any other, you know, flat land to display this because they know it's impossible, right? So they depend on the reflection upon water, the refraction of light, you know, swells, tides. They depend on these, then they can cherry pick and get their images or their video that they're looking for in order to, you know, prop up this already dead globe religion. Right, now this number one proof that debunks the fact that people are telling you live on a globe. Right, I'm going to demonstrate it, and I'm going to use some examples that they like to use. The first one being a basketball. Right, now when we get to science, it's about claims that are being made about the world have to meet empirical observations and tests, and that has to be repeated. So I encourage everybody who watches this video, test water, test it thoroughly until you know yourself that the water will not conform and cling to the exterior of any object. We will highlight here meniscus and adhesion. These are well known and understood, right? But at the same time, you're going to see them demonstrated within a container. Now, I can then claim through deductive reasoning and observations that the earth must be a container. Anybody out there who wants to insist that at some unspecified larger scale that the physics of liquid and how we know it starts to change, the burden is on them. There is nothing magical about oceans. You don't get to a specific area of the ocean where there's a magic that starts to happen. You know, even if there's that increase and decrease in pressure, the surface of liquid will always be level, horizontal, flat. Now, flat doesn't mean perfectly flat. You know, we have wind, we have other, you know, factors impacting on the surface of the water. There is currents underneath, there is wind on top, we have waves, we have swells, we know these things. But the body of water must be level, it must be contained, because it doesn't flow anywhere, right? So, you know, we don't accept sophism, where people are going to come and say, oh, but it has to be bigger, it has to be bigger. Oh, a football or a basketball in no way, you know, represents the earth. Well, that's your claim. Your claim is that we live on the exterior of a spherical object, and you're claiming that liquid conforms and sticks to the spherical object. Now, if we go and we apply, you know, that claim and we look for it in a practical sense, if it doesn't hold up, your claims are rubbish. That's science. Okay, so as we can see, we have the basketball. What happens when we pour liquid on the basket? Oh. Now, I'm going to try really hard. You know, I want to be as honest as I can. I want as much of this water to stick to the surface of this basketball as I possibly can. Okay, so I'll be really steady, try and keep the basketball still. As you can see, it's really difficult, right? And this is rubber with dimples, okay? So there's plenty there for the water to cling to. Now what can we see? What can we see? That it ran off, okay? Now what we're seeing here is adhesion, where the water is binding to the material here, but it is a very thin film. Now you will hear these globe religious people saying, oh yeah, but if you were really small, that would be... No, you know, there is no body of water here. It is a very minute amount of water that is sticking to the ball, okay? Now, the majority of the water fell off and landed on the table. So, we can look at this here. I can get this to sit properly. Yeah, we can see this, that the water is accumulating on a level table and it's binding together, the adhesion of the molecules of the water pulling together, okay? The surface, horizontal and flat, alright? So again, I'm demonstrating these things on a table. If I try to demonstrate it on a ball, it just falls off. So all practical demonstrations happen within a container or a level surface, because it is the only place we can get the water to stay. Right. So the next thing that you usually see from these globe disciples is this. Again, I'm going to be really delicate as I can here to try and get the water to do what I want it to do. And there we can see, look, you can see that the surface has risen above the container. As soon as you apply a wind or any kind of motion, it goes. So these things apply when it is a still, steady body of water. And again, I'm having to demonstrate it in a container. Okay, now this, look, oh, drip of water. The water is spherical. Yes, again, adhesion and surface tension. Okay, so if I try to get the whole body of water to cling to my hand, it's not going to happen. As soon as you increase the volume, the behaviour starts to change. Right? So they show you these things on a minuscule level because they're trying to twist your mind. It is tactics of sophists. These people are manipulative. They do not represent science. They do not represent actual reality in any way, shape or form. They are devious, deceptive, lying people. Now these characters like ALK and Jed and Soundly Wolfie, these people are, I consider, criminals because they are actively denying reality. Now anybody else out there who actively denies reality and tries to push that onto others must be considered criminal because they are trying to warp people's perceptions and minds, take away actual reality from them and replace it with a fake. Now that fake is the globe. Globes do not hold water, okay? Especially potato-shaped globes that are flying through a vacuum with gas and liquid clung to it while spinning. Nobody can recreate that. Nobody can show you in any practical sense whatsoever. It is not scientific, right? Now I know for many people out there, you have heard the mantras of flat earth and how ridiculous it must be, but people, earth is a container. It has pressure and it is filled with liquid. It is a container. There is a huge deception going on to disguise that from you and take that away from you. You know, people out there, you need to stand up and realise this, right? No amount of images or videos are going to change the understanding of the physical world and what knowledge we have and how we apply that, right? Now again, people are going to say, oh, this video, this guy pours water on a bowl and expects us to believe that. It's a demonstration of how liquid behaves, right? You cannot get a body of water to cling to and conform to the exterior of any object or shape. Right? As again, meniscus, adhesion, surface tension, we know about these things. Right? We know about them. They're no arguments, they're no proof. Drips of water on branches, drips of water on the surface of a table. You know, I'll show it again. You know, people say, look, curved water on a flat surface. Let's try it again on the ball. Let's try and achieve the same thing on the ball. Oh, we've got a wee bit here, it's running away now. I can't even get a wee bit of it just to stay on the top of the ball. Running off, okay? Running off, seeking its level. Because water on slopes, water on declines, that's what happens. You know, investigate canals and canal systems and how they operate. Canals are built level, right? The level is no an equal point from the centre of the earth, because, you know, their claim is not that the earth is a perfect sphere underneath. It's a potato, odd-shaped rock, right? So it's utter bollocks, right? We deal with claims, we go to natural science, we go to practicality, right? So again, for the sophists out there, quit with your videoed, idiocy of things being obscured by swells and tides. The body of water is level, okay? Liquid cannot display shapes upon its surface, which rules out the claim that you live on the exterior of a globe. Right? Any of these people who wish to come to the next live and refute what I'm saying and what I'm demonstrating with practicality, feel free to do so. Otherwise, shut up and let people explore the reality for what it actually is. Alright? Peace, people. Okay, so I'm out here. This is part 2 of Water Kills the Globe, because again, I'll reiterate some of this once I get back to the house. I had to wait in some responses, some comment responses and some troll videos, just so that I can highlight and show the absurdity of these clowns who still actively deny how water behaves and how it is the number one proof that you live in a contained system. So we'll look at the anomalous expansion of water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to gather some seawater here, and we're going to see the difference between the expansion of salt water and fresh water, if there is any, and we're also going to see if we can get any seawater to conform and cling to the exterior of objects, which we know is not going to happen. So what I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to get down to about 3 feet here, and we are 20 kilometres from the target point, and you will see that there is no 65 feet of missing curvature. Again, these clowns, this is the same distance, probably further than any of these other observations that they do, and you will see clearly that you can see the buildings. Okay, nothing obscured, nothing hidden. Right, I don't even have to do this. This is just a nonsense exercise, because I know that the liquid is no moulded and forming round a sphere or any other shape for that matter. Okay, so oh, what's that? What do we see there? That's right, we see no curvature. go even further. At that distance we should be 65 feet of missing curvature, or we should have 65 feet. Where is it? So right now I'm about 1.5 feet off of the ground. As you can see by that rock how low I am. Adjusting my camera here so I can get a better view. Let's raise it up now. What happens in areas like this that some of these sofas do is when the tide comes in you've got a huge swell of water. So we can see here, you know, you can see clearly how much the water level is going to go up. Now that's a fair amount. So, you know, let's just have a look this way. I don't see any curvature or obstruction happening here whatsoever. Let's go right down again. So, anyway, none of that's really important. The important fact is how liquid behaves, okay? So as I say, when the tide is coming in, you've got huge swells of water moving. And if I was to come here at that time when the water was moving in the swell, it would look as if things were being obscured, okay? Only because the water is in motion. Now I'm getting comments from people, oh, forces acting upon the water, and blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm going to try every fucking force possible. Right? I'll try every force that I possibly can here on Earth. Right? No, these images and videos of idiots on the supposed ISS, right? Because we do not live in those conditions. There is no vacuum here, right? There is no contrived conditions like they show you in the ISS. This is where you live, out here in the actual world. So let's observe and test how things behave here. Right, so what I'll do when I get back up the road is I will try and recreate some of the ISS tears clinging to my face, and I'll try and wring out a cloth and we'll see what happens. Right, because that's what's important. We're talking about reality, where we actually live. There is nowhere in our experienced reality that is in touch with a vacuum. Nowhere. Between us and the top of the sky, there's compressed gaseous air. Right? Why does the pressure get thinner when you go further up? Well, it's the same as when you go into a body of water. The mass and the weight of the water, the lower down you go, the more pressure there is because of the mass and weight of what's above pushing down. Okay, so it's the same with the air. You know, at this point that we're at, we've got this mass of gas and air weighing on us. So there is a pressure here. As you go up, it gets less pressure because there's less weight and mass on it. It's very, very simple. Right? So, as I say, when we get up the road, we will check the seawater and see how it behaves. Right? I'm going to collect some seawater from here and we'll see how it behaves. Right? I might as well film this bit just so that, you know, people actually believe that I'm going to empty this out. Try and not make a mess of myself while I'm doing it. So, look, there it goes. Oh, what's happening here? What's happening? There's a potato-shaped rock right there. What's happening? That's right. Flowing off, seeking its level. Water doesn't seek its level. That's just the terminologies that we use. That's just what we say. It's seeking its level. Not like water has a personality and that's what it's seeking to do. It's just a state of water, liquid. That is its natural state, is to seek and maintain its own level. If it's not contained, it will flow continuously. Okay, until it is dammed up, and then it will seek its level again. The point of this is that water, the surface of water, doesn't have the ability to bend and display shapes upon its surface, right? Regardless of scale and size, right? It's not scientific for these morons to keep saying, it has to be bigger, it has to be bigger. It doesn't have to be bigger, it's not about that, it's about the behaviour of liquid. Liquid is formless. The surface does not display shapes upon it. It is impossible. You cannot bend a body of water and see that bend upon the surface. Okay? It will keep collapsing and flying flat. Simple. Right? So let's see if we can get a wee better view now that this sun's coming out here. Because I'm noticing that when I'm zooming in, you can see the buildings with a bit of clarity, but there's a certain haze. So maybe I'm zooming in too fast. Let me see here. You can see the focus popping in and out. Right. But there is certainly no 65 feet of missing curvature. Of curvature, I should say. It is somewhat missing as per usual because the Earth's a level container. It is not a globe. So let's head up the road and try this out. Okay, so now I'm a few miles along the road from where I was. Still no curvature. Surprise, surprise. Right, that's enough of this nonsense about curvy globes and curvy water. Okay, I'm going to go up the road and I'm going to take the piss right out of these idiots yet again. Right, enough of this nonsense. Earth's a container, it's level, end of story. Enough of it. This camera height right now is about 5 feet. Okay, now that target distance is 12 miles away. Right, nothing missing. Absolutely zilch. I think I should ask them if they're interested in my Golfers app, which takes into account the absolutely nonsense Coriolis effect. You know, it's the understanding of such nonsense that allowed guys like Tiger Woods to be so successful at their golf, because they understood the Coriolis effect and put it into practice. If there is anybody out there who is gullible enough to buy my app, please get in touch immediately. Thank you. Right, so here we are, back up the road. First thing I will get you today is watch these two wee videos.
Washcloths ever here on the space station. I'm going to show you. Here's one of our washcloths. And it's compacted. It's put down into this little tiny hockey puck so that it saves space. But when you open up a hockey puck and you pull out your washcloth, this is the one I'm going to use for the experiment today. And so when you open up your hockey puck and turn it into a washcloth, it was compressed in a great big vise somewhere. Okay, so here's my washcloth, like a magic trick. And now I'm going to get this soaking wet, and then we're going to see what will happen when we wring it out. Meredith and Kendra suggested that I dip this in a bag, but bags don't hold water in space, so instead I filled a water bag. This has drinking water in it. And I'm going to squirt a bunch of water into this washcloth. Okay, so here's a soaking wet washcloth. Get the microphone so you can hear me while I'm talking. And now let's start wringing it out. It's really wet. It's becoming a tube of water. The water is all over my hands. In fact, it wrings out of the cloth into my hands. And if I let go of the cloth carefully, the water sort of has it stick to my hand. Okay, so the experiment worked beautifully. And the answer to the question is the water squeezes out of the cloth, and then because of the surface tension of the water, it actually runs along the surface of the cloth and then up into my hand, almost like you had Jello on your hands or gel on your hand, and it'll just stay there. Wonderful moisturizer on my hands. And the cloth doesn't really unravel itself. It just stays there floating like a dog's chew toy, soaking wet. Great experiment, worked perfectly. Meredith and Kendra, congratulations, great idea. So here's a common question. Can you cry in space? Do tears work? Well, let's try it out. I can't cry on command, but I'm going to take some water, drinking water, put it in my eye just as if I was crying. Let's see what happens. Get myself nice and stable for you here. Here we go. So, just as if I've started crying, my eye is full of tears. But you can see it just forms a ball on my eye. In fact, I can put more water in. And so if you keep crying, you just ended up with a bigger and bigger ball of water in your eye. Until eventually it crosses across your nose and gets into your other eye, or evaporates, or maybe spreads over your cheek, or you grab a towel and dry it up. So yes, I've gotten things in my eye. Your eyes will definitely cry in space, but the big difference is tears don't fall. So grab a hanky.
Right, now you've watched these two videos. Now, the thing about those two videos is, as I expressed earlier on while I was out in the open, those are not the conditions that we live in. We live here on Earth with pressure and air. Okay? Now if we try and recreate those two videos, what's going to happen? Oh, right, wait a minute, just to see this. So, firstly, what did we have first of all? We had wringing out the cloth of water. Probably going to get done in for this, but here we go. Right. Cloth, water. Oh, what's happening? It's no sticking to me, it's falling off, right? Because that's what happens here on Earth, okay? So I better dab this up. Utter ridiculous crap. This is the sophism that I'm talking about. You know, they keep, you know, offering these videos, and these videos that are deliberate to try and portray an image in your mind that this is how physical reality works, and it's not how it works. How physical reality works is what we observe and test right here on Earth. Not in some fanciful contrived conditions. I don't know what conditions these characters are in and how they're managing to achieve what they are. I could play with some stuff to maybe see what's going on, right? So the next one, tears in the eye. Oops, it's fell off. Can I get it to stick? Look people, I'm not trolling anybody, right? I'm ripping the pish out of this ridiculousness. Right? It's childish nonsense. You know, just because I do it in a sarcastic manner doesn't mean that I'm trolling. You know, I'm ripping the piss out of this idiocy that people are claiming. This is how liquid behaves. You know, we talk about the scale aspect again, right? It's got nothing to do with scale. The point of the matter is that, you know, I have some sea liquid here, right? The surface of the liquid, right? If I bend that bottle like so, the surface remains level and flat from one point to the other point, regardless of if I extend this 100 miles in that direction. At what point exactly do you think that the surface of the liquid, you know, at each step along the way, what magical aspect happens that allows it to bend, magically bend? It's utter nonsense, right? Doesn't matter how big it is. That's how liquid behaves. Level is established by understanding water. It is a property of liquid. That is what we use to establish level. Okay? That's what defines level, right? So it doesn't matter how big the body of water, the crack that you're filling in with liquid, it will seek its level and the surface will be horizontal and flat, right? So I'm going to rip the pish a wee bit more here, and then I'm going to focus on some of the comments that came in on part one of this. So I want to be fair, so I'm going to try my best to achieve, you know, some sort of liquid stuck to the outside of a fucking globe. Right, so what we have here is what's known as wallpaper paste, right? Let's try this. Let's see if I can get it to stick to my eye. Oh look, it's stuck. Ooh, let's get a ball. Look, yes, now we've got curvy water. I can spread that out and give it a bit of depth. See that? See the depth of the wallpaper paste there? Look, now we're getting it on the... Oh. What happens if we go for normal everyday water? Oopsie. So, I've been out today walking for miles, getting observations. The observations are, you know, not really relevant because optical, when we're looking over an expanse of water, there are so many things to be taken into account that you can't really, you know, break down precisely for every varying condition that is going on between you and the other point, right? That's why, you know, when we're talking about level and establishing level, the water is more accurate than any other man-made instrument or any instrument you could possibly come up with. The liquid tells you everything you need to know. The earth is a contained system, right? So we don't need to mess about with videos and contradictory images and videos across expanses of water, because there's so many factors to be taken into consideration. The main one, especially with these people at the oceans, you know, the majority of the time it's like an estuary, you know, where coming inland between, 2 points of landmass, and as the swell's coming in and it hits those 2 points of landmass, the water raises up and rushes forward. If you don't understand what I'm saying, have a look at a tsunami and look at how the water moves as it's coming inland, right? It raises up and it comes like a wall, right? That's what's happening, right? Plus, you're tiny again in comparison to the scale of the earth and the oceans, right? So a massive swell coming in, a massive expanse of water moving inward, is going to obscure things to your vision because you're so small, right? But bodies of water, as I'm going to highlight over and over and again, do not conform to the exterior of shapes. They take the shape of their container, right? Earth is a container. You keep scaling up your examples from a bottle to a sink to a bath to a swimming pool to a lake, dam, ocean. The physics are the same, right? You will never get the surface of a body of water to bend, okay? No matter what I do with that bottle of water, that liquid will always do the same thing, right? So, here's a balloon that's filled with water, okay? Now, this is what they want you to believe. So, the oceans, right? Earth would have to be some sort of rubber membrane or some sort of membrane filled fully with water with no air, because we have a wee bubble in the top there. I don't know if anybody can see that, right? That rises straight to the top, right? Now the surface in there is now curved, but it has a membrane keeping it there, right? That is the only way possible that we could live on a wobbly, testicle, pear-shaped, odd-shaped thing, right? I mean, I know that it's difficult for people to get, and it looks like I'm just trolling. I'm being sarcastic because it is painfully obvious. It's so difficult to accept that people have trouble, realising these things. And I'm going to highlight a couple of examples here in the comment section of the last video. I knew that if I made it short enough in the way that I done it, I would get these types of comments so that I could then use them as fuel for this video. So let's have a read at the ridiculousness. Just bear with me a wee second here till I find it. And I'm going to do a part 3. I talked about the anomalous expansion of water and how water reacts under pressure. So, we'll look at things like Archimedes' principle. We know that water is incompressible. We apply that in hydraulics, So I have a wee couple of bits of apparatus that I will use to show that. But for now, as I said, I'm just going to rip the piss out of this because, I can't accept that people are this dumb. They have to be actively trolling or they're working for a certain agenda, because you can't deny these things. And now, we'll read here some of the ridiculousness, right? Let's go. So we've got this chappie here, whoever this is, Rab S. My God, Del, do you realise how stupid this video makes you look? I am actually ashamed to share a heritage with you. I don't give a fuck about heritage or any of that fucking bollocks patriotic crap, alright? Battery's going to run out. No one expects water to cling to a fucking basketball. No one, your entire video is a straw man. No, it's not a straw man. I'm dealing with claims that are being made in regards to the world we live in, okay? And I'm showing practical examples of how it is impossible. Let's step outside the box for a moment and see if you're capable of a thought experiment. Assume a giant sphere with the magical ability to suck things down on its surface. We'll assume it's magic and works on everything. Okay, can you accept that premise of our thought exercise? No, I'm not into imagination, right? Now this is exactly what these people start trying. Imagination, thought experiments. When we're talking about natural science, substance and reality, you need practicality. You have to demonstrate your claims practically. So I'm not even going to go any further with your nonsense rab-s, okay? Where was this other one? I'm just going to make it short because I can see that the battery is just about to go on that. Just bear with me. You just need to bear with me here, people, till I find these comments. I'll just edit this wee bit. There was one particular comment here that I wanted to focus in on because it's astounding. Oh my goodness, where is it? This is it. Justin Lorenzana. Water does not seek anything, Dale. Water responds to forces in nature as well as having its own forces. Inanimate matter is inertia and active with only reactive force. Life is inertia active, it applies directed force in nature. Walk around with a pan of water. Walk around with a pan of water. It reacts to forces. Right, now, Justin, you have just expressed walk around with a pan of water, a container, which is exactly my point. Okay, now while it's in that container I can exert wind, whatever other motion I want to exert on it, but the fact of the matter remains it has to be in a container in the first place in order for me to even go ahead with the experiment. Okay. Spin a water bottle, it reacts to force. Remove the force of gravity in a zero-G plane and just like in the ISS, we don't live on a zero-G fucking plane and we don't live on the ISS, we live here. Shoot the bottle, now what? It's still no bending, it's still maintaining its level, the surface is still horizontal. What's your point, caller? And surprise, it will crawl on the exterior of your hand. You need to experiment with forces in nature. Dale, come on, use your mind, you can do it. You show me where in nature we are flying about in a zero-G plane or on the ISS. I am here in nature. I was in nature yesterday and this morning, demonstrating practically how liquid behaves. Sophism, people. This is what I'm talking about religious institutions and how they try and twist your mind, right? This ISS bollocks, the zero plane bollocks, they're misrepresentations of actual reality. We do not live in those conditions. If you're making a claim about objective reality, you show it practically in nature. As I've expressed before, we live in a gaseous environment, no in a fucking aeroplane, no in some imaginary tin can floating about in a vacuum. Right, we will get onto this, the opposing pressure systems. I will do a part 3 of liquid and why water kills the globe. Then we will discuss opposing pressure systems and how they work in actual reality, right? So that you can then see that these claims about the gaseous environment of Earth next to a vacuum without a solid barrier is preposterous. Again, contradicting actual reality, right? Now, people, the only thing you have is images. This is what they're doing. This is a religious institution. This is how it operates. It is devious at its very core. right? The goal is to make everything deceptive in order to get you to believe it, to hold you in a state of mind that they want you in, right? So, you need to let go of the cartoon ball. Water, a property of water is level, okay? Horizontal, that is where we get the definition from. If we want to establish level anywhere over a vast expanse, fill it with liquid. That'll tell you if it's level, okay? It's very, very simple. So, I know that I've probably skirted over this yet again, but, you know, I can't, you know, if people out there want to tell me that it's going to happen at some other scale, or that I should be in some sort of lab or whatever, if you're not happy with the setting that I'm in, it really doesn't matter. If you have a rebuttal, can you show it practically? And I do not accept zero-G planes or ISS cartoons. You don't live there. It has to be, you know, observable and testable by us all, and that means here on Earth, right? So, again, it doesn't matter if I make this bottle 100 miles long. Okay, the surface is horizontal. Look at it here. Look at it. How the water pushes up and the surface stays flat. That is the globe killer, right? It's a substance, an image, a video, you know, over an expanse of water in no way is a match for substance. Liquid, right, and its properties and its behaviours, they are well understood and applied in every single day reality. So I'm not going to engage with any of these people anymore. They can keep bringing their sophistry if they like. I'm not accepting it, and neither should you. You know, you need to share this information with people. You need to help them to realise how the brainwashing has warped their perception of reality, right? Point it out in practical form, and they cannot escape it. The only way that they can escape it is by entering into self-delusion, right? And these trolls who are involved in this are trying to perpetuate that delusion of people, and it's unacceptable, right? So, no more videos looking over vast bodies of water, right? The water is the tool. You don't need anything else. You don't need a 3 mile fucking spirit level test. Just find a body of water. If it's not flowing anywhere, you know that the place that the water is sitting in is level. Right? Peace, people.
The big scary gravity, the big scary institutions with all the fucking brown beating and the refuse to authority. Bollocks, this is what I'm talking about. Take control of yourself. Commit. Stand up for yourself. Commit. Stand up for yourself. Our no-nonsense approach. Commit. Stand up for yourself. Commit. Stand up for yourself. Our no-nonsense approach. Oh, I've got a fucking big BMX that can fly Aye. Show me a picture of your Mexican flag. Canny, you're a fucking bullshit lying piece of shit, fuck off. Oh, I've got a Ferrari that goes 340 miles an hour. And I've got a summer house in Spain. Show me. Canny, fuck off. You're a liar. Oh, I've got this potato rock with gas and water stuck through it that's inside a vacuum and it all just slides here because of magic stuffs. Show me it. Canny. Fuck off. You're a liar. Show me it. Canny. Fuck off. Like you did when you were a child. Come in. Stand up for yourself. Come in. Stand up for yourself. I want no nonsense approach. Come in. Stand up for yourself. Come in. Stand up for yourself. I want no nonsense approach. And here's a picture of fucking a duck's nose. Black clothes and stuff. And here's a picture of fucking a duck's nose. Black clothes and stuff. Show me it. Canny. Fuck off. Show me it. Canny. Fuck off. Let's all conform and behave like good little children. Do not escape from your box. Conform to the social norm. Conform like a politician. Conform to the social norm. Conform like a politician. Yes. For fuck's sake, Brenda, we're just on 2 seconds now. Fuck off. We don't want you or your other road disciples to go and take a running fuck to yourself, okay? Take it and ram it right up your boot.
Nick Barella here. I wanted to put together just a short video to tell you the main reason why I believe the Earth is flat, and it is flat. There are literally, I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of reasons why I believe that the Earth is flat, that it's not a globe. But the number one for me is water. Water is always flat. Water always finds its level. All the oceans and the streams and the creeks run down into the basins, which is what we call oceans. Water always takes the shape of its container. So water is really what does it for me. Now, this is according to NASA. So this is NASA's official website talking about the Earth. You'll see down here it says that the diameter of the Earth at the equator is 12,756 kilometers. So if we convert kilometers to miles, that's 7,926 miles. Now, here is a scale model of the Earth. According to NASA, as you just saw, the diameter of the Earth is 7,926 miles. So at the equator from one side to the other, 7,926 miles. Now, according to the History Channel, the longest river in the world is the Nile River, which is actually almost 5,000 miles in total length. But as the crow flies, you can see it here, that the total length is about 2,400 miles from the source to the outlet. As we just saw, the length of the Nile River, and this is as the crow flies, from the source point to the ocean that it empties out into, is 2,400 miles, about 30% of the Earth's diameter. So if we take NASA's word for it that it's 8 inches per mile squared, this is what the math looks like. 2,400 miles times 2,400 miles times 8 inches. That gets us the total amount in inches. We divide by 12 to get the total amount in feet. Then we divide by 5,280 to get the total amount in miles. And there should be 727 miles of total curvature. We divide that by 2, and that means there would be 363 miles to the midpoint or the peak. The Nile River would have to ascend 363 miles, or a total of over 720 miles from the beginning to the end. It would look like this. If you see this here, this would be the source point. It would have to curve up 363 miles to the midpoint, and then it would have to curve down 363 miles to the end point. That's impossible. Totally impossible. Just to put that in perspective, that would be the equivalent of 1,950 Eiffel Towers. You know what? I don't even have, these are all representing the Eiffel Tower. I don't even have enough on the screen. I think I'm short a few. I got tired of cutting and pasting. So it's very interesting, but water is always flat. Water always finds its level. And gravity is still a theory. The full name for gravity is the universal theory of gravity. It's an invisible, supernatural, all-powerful force that does not care if we're moral. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, I think we've been lied to. The earth is flat, water is flat, and it would be impossible to live on a spinning globe.
This reporter, for one, hopes this finally puts an end to the strange saga of the 3 billboards outside.
This doesn't put an end to shit, you fucking retard. This is just a fucking start. Why don't you put that on your Good Morning Missouri fucking wake up broadcast, bitch?
This reporter, for one, hopes this finally puts an end to the strange saga of the 3 billboards outside.
This doesn't put an end to shit, you fucking retard. This is just a fucking start. Why don't you put that on your Good Morning Missouri fucking wake up broadcast, bitch?
This reporter, for one, hopes this finally puts an end to the strange saga of the 3 billboards outside.
This doesn't put an end to shit, you fucking retard. This is just a fucking start. Why don't you put that on your Good Morning Missouri fucking wake up broadcast, bitch?
Remember when I learned in school about gravity? It was so cool. I had a teacher that knew it all. She taught me how water could stick to a ball, how buildings stick to the underside of a ball that spins like a carousel ride. Man, it all sounded crazy to me, but I love learning about gravity. I couldn't wait to tell my dad about the amazing day that I had. He picked me up, I was bursting with pride. He opened up the door and I jumped inside. He smiled at me and said, "How was your day?" I said, "Dad, I was blown away. I learned about this magical thing, but it's kinda got my head in the spin. I learned about this Newton guy. When an apple fell on his head, he surmised that there must be a force that's pulling it down, and everything's being sucked to the ground. A force that sticks us all to this ball, the people, the buildings, the oceans, and all. So it was written in history. Newton had discovered gravity." Well, he just looked at me and said, "Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, 'cause the theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids." Well, my dad felt a little bit sad for me when I mentioned that word gravity. He said, "Have a little independent thought. question what you've just been taught. I mean, how the hell could a ball that spins make a force so strong that sucks everything in? Yet birds and insects fly unaffected. Gravity must be so selective. Think about it logically, 'cause that don't make no sense to me. You gotta question all those preachers preach, question all those teachers teach. You see, gravity is just a bunch of bull. That Newton guy's just a lying fool. These guys like Newton shouldn't be trusted. Their free Masonic lies have been busted. In fact, my boy, it's density, and that's why things fall down, you see. An object always falls to the ground if it's heavier than the air that surrounds. If it's lighter than air, then it'll rise. It'll keep on floating up to the skies. That's what's known as buoyancy, and that makes more sense than gravity. So let me tell you one more time, boy. Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, 'cause the theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids. He said, "I'm sorry, son, for bursting your bubble, but that kind of thinking can get you in trouble. These theories they try to put in your head, it's all just pseudoscience," he said. "They'll have you believing in all kinds of crap. That gravity nonsense belongs in the trash. Believe me when I say to you, there ain't no gravity, and that's the truth." Well, my daddy made me think that day. He made me think in a different way. I did some thinking for myself. I put that theory back on the shelf. That gravity crap is indoctrination, not truthful, trusted information. People need to wake up and see there ain't no such thing as gravity. You let me hear you sing it one more time now. Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, 'cause the theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids. One more time now. Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, 'cause the theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids.